Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Today we are here to talk about some HypeSquad. So the beta is over. It ended today at 1 p.m. Currently at the recording of this video. And yeah, I just wanted to put my thoughts out about it, basically where I'm at with it, what I think about it. There wasn't really any changes from the 2-hour test that I did last time. So I'm just going to do an overall review of the game currently in its state, minus the improvements that might have been made from then to now. So, what is HypeSquad? HypeSquad is a battle royale, third-person, melee-oriented kind of like, action game. You just basically are you're in teams of 3. You go around and you just have to survive. You have to kill everyone else. Now, the biggest, I think, incentive to play this over some other battle royales might be the pace. I think the pace was its strong suit. I think the game, if you like that fast-paced action kind of like fighting feel, it's the game for you. I really do think that like it does excel at the way it paces itself. You can quickly engage with someone, completely mow them down, and then quickly disengage or engage with someone else. It really does feel very fast-paced. Probably the fastest battle royale I've played currently, mobile and PC alike. I can't really think of one off the top of my head. I don't play them that often anyways, but I play a lot of Naraka, which is like Dark Souls, right? It's super slow, everything's super weighted, which you might like more than this, but this does have its own charm and uniqueness to it because you get to, again, like I said, it's more, I think, because it's fast paced, it's more casual friendly, but it's harder to master. Like, I think the casualness to it is just because it's so fast, you don't really you kind of just like go with the flow and you keep hitting, but it's easy to get lost in that and completely forget what you're doing, or completely just like lose control of your character because you're just moving so fast every single time. Like when you're using the dual daggers specifically, which is one of the weapons, you can completely just, constantly blitz someone, go in, keep hitting them constantly, use all your skills, rotate to a different weapon. Maybe you have another pair of dual daggers, which you could also double up on your weapons, or you have maybe like a pulse staff, which was, another fast weapon, and completely just rotate through all the skills there, do the constant jukes that you have with weapon, do like a little triple flip, quadruple flip, whatever it is, and then switch back to the daggers again, grapple onto someone, and just keep going to town on them, casting all the skills, basic attacking, circling around them to avoid some hits. It's, again, a crazy level of action. I think, like I said, for the casual player base, they might enjoy just running up to someone and pressing all the buttons they can, but then I can see how it can get confusing when you have to like actually use the mechanics of a weapon. Like, I thought it was just a button smash simulator, but there is skill to using weapons. There is a certain finesse to using weapons. There is a way to use weapons correctly. Mostly every single weapon has a certain purpose, except a few, which I'll name a little bit later. But yeah, there is a skill level to it. It's not just a like a kid's game where you run in and can do everything. But I feel like kids would be able to play this. Like, it's not as simple as something like Fortnite in terms of its complexity or whatever. It's not that simple, but it is, again, I think, casual friendly to an extent, to a very large extent. So I feel like overall this game hits both niches, where the hardcore players, you could tell, are hardcore. They could still lose just because of circumstance, right? And a lot of battle royales, you might not beat a hardcore player due to their items and their skill level being so high. But in this game, you can beat those pro players, I think, by like running up on them in the right scenario. Maybe like third partying or whatever. But like, there still is a level of complexity for those hardcore players as well, just because like I said, every weapon has a purpose. Every weapon, there is a uniqueness to it. You can really utilize a weapon if you know how to play the game. You know how to play the game. Like, me and my friend were constantly duoing this entire time, and we would just constantly beat most of the other players. We'd sometimes run into these like top players. We'd sometimes beat them, we'd sometimes lose, depending if we had to third or not. It was, like I said, there was both sides of the spectrum, casual and hardcore, definitely can take a liking to this game, which I think is its biggest strength. I'd say out of everything I have to name in terms of strength, pros and cons, the biggest pro that I can give it is that the pacing of the game makes it casual friendly as well as hardcore, incentive to be like hardcore with it. Like, you can definitely play it hardcore and you can also be a casual and enjoy this game. Unlike something like I said, Naraka Blade Point, which I play all the time, I think the game is more hardcore. I think as a casual, you're not going to have as much fun in Naraka. It just isn't that fun when you're playing on a casual level. There's a lot of systems in place. Everything's weighted. It's like playing Dark Souls. Like, you're not going to have fun as a casual in Dark Souls if you don't know how to actually play games really well and you just want to have fun. That's not the game for you. Same with Naraka Blade Point, but this game is. Which again could be a good and a bad thing depending on what you're looking for. Now, there was 3 modes: Conquest, which is like capture the point; Solo, which are survival, solo and survival 3-player. I didn't play much solo survival. I think there is issues with solo survival as well. The game was made as a team game. Now you can play by yourself. Oftentimes, I mean, I'm fighting by myself a lot of the times anyways, like if my teammate dies or something. But most of the, the game was made for 3-man survival. I think it's going to be the main mode. I think it's going to be the main competitive mode. I think it's the mode they should focus on the most. The beta was a little weird because it rotated out modes until the last day. The last day was 24 hours open to every single mode, but they would rotate out the modes between Conquest and Solo. Survival 3-player was always up. Our Conquest and then, Solo survival was not always up. So you would often have to basically wait for the timer to actually get on, which was usually later at night for me. I don't know if it was ever available in the morning, but it was usually like at 8 or 9 p.m. where Solo would become active. Same with Conquest. Conquest would usually be at some point during the night as well. I think it was on different days. But like I said, the last day, it was a full 24 hours. You can play each mode. I actually enjoyed Conquest a little bit, but I will say I was not a fan of the fact that you needed to have a base to prosper. The Conquest mode literally feels exactly like survival, except if you don't have a base, you lose. So the game is more narrated towards having a base, and the last man standing is going to be the one with a base. If you can manage to capitalize all bases somehow, if your team isn't working, if you don't have a teammate for some reason, and then your base gets captured because one person decided to hold it down while the other team, decided, or while the other people on their team decided to hold down another base, then you'll just lose because you die immediately if you do not have a base. We only played it a couple of times. I don't think they changed that. I think it's the same as the 2-hour playtest. If you don't have a base, you lose. It feels exactly like survival in a way where you don't need bases in survival, but you want them because they give you points. You can revive your teammates. That's really the only incentive to have bases. Other than that, you literally can just run around killing people to get points. But for the most part, like I said, the differences between survival and solo, or survival and conquest, was literally that you just have to have a base in Conquest. It's the exact same thing as survival, nothing different. So the modes aren't that, they're it's not like out of this world or anything, like nothing new, or it's literally capture a base, point capture and survival. Not too insane, not too intense. I wasn't a fan of Conquest as much as survival. I will say though, back in the 2-hour playtest, it was a 4-player survival and 3-player Conquest. I enjoyed Conquest more because 4 people on a team was too chaotic, and I'm so glad that they changed it to 3 players, because 4 players was just too much. It was way too much. The way the game works, the pacing of the game, it wasn't fun. Now there could be a 4-player mode. There probably is going to be a 5-player mode. There's 5 slots in the party, which whatever, that's fine, but it was not fun playing 4-player survival standard mode. I'd say like a deathmatch mode, I could see a 4v4, v4, whatever. If it was like a team battle royale, I would love that actually. That'd be amazing. But yeah, it was just not fun in the 2-hour playtest with the 4-man survival. So I'm glad they changed the number to 3. I think it's a great number. I think 2 is too small. 3 is the perfect, kind of like medium, versus like 4 people is, again, way too chaotic. Way too much, too many things spammed. There's no outplay potential. Even as against a team of 3, you can outplay them. You get one low, you kill one, you get out of there, you heal up, you go back in, you 2v1, you win. You can do plenty of different things against 2 people, but again, if you're doing a 1v4, it's impossible. It's just not fun. You get kind of steamrolled. You're just running around in giant packs and mobs, and also getting 4 people to play this, like a battle royale, a 10-minute battle royale was pretty kind of hard, I feel like. Now the weapons, there's a multitude of different weapons. I'm not going to go over every single one, but just to give some examples, there were some range weapons. There was like a projectile shooting disc weapon, which I didn't think was good at all. I never found a purpose for it outside of mobility. There was a support type oriented weapon in the form of a spear, where you could put down a damage reduction zone, you could heal your teammates, and there was a dash that did a lot of damage. You had a shield that had a stun. It was, you can hold up a shield and guard with it. Really, really strong weapon. The ultimate made you not take in your team not take damage at all. There was an axe that did the same thing with its ultimate. It made you not take damage when you're using it, as well as it was a massive stun. And that was the heaviest stun weapon I want to say in the game. Probably you can knock people down. You jump really high with the axe. There was the dual daggers, which is just the mobility weapon, one of the best mobility weapons in the game, melee wise. You could go vertically and horizontally. You can just dash. You can grapple different places. You moved really fast. You could most of the time you had like a bunch of your skills have like charges. Most weapons have charges on their skills, or they have some kind of indicator in the middle of the screen that you can see that kind of tells you, hey, I have this many charges on a certain skill, and you can just kind of spam it that way. I love the knuckles as a lot. That was one of my favorite weapons. The knuckles and the pole staff. The knuckles you can just spam your ultimate on constantly. The pole staff, it just felt really good to use. It was very wide hits. The basic attacks felt really good. The ultimate was really strong. The kind of like mobility tool was just very high damage. It was great for outplaying and maneuvering over certain abilities as well as other people. And yeah, like it just felt really good. There was a knock up. It was a really solid weapon. Probably my two favorites. But I do think that with the weapons, there's a lot of balance issues. Some of them are just like too strong. Like one of them, I think all the range weapons are too weak. Now I had some people who were just running around with certain range weapons that were just absolutely dominating. I think if you can get upgrades, ranged weapons are king. I think they're probably going to be the best weapons that you have, but it takes a while to get full upgrades. So until you do that, you have to use something else. And so starting out with like a gun, for me at least, it did not feel good. I've seen other people start out with guns and do amazing, but I can't tell if it's because they got so far into the game and got upgrades, or it's because, you know, but like at a base level with no upgrades, the range weapons were not doing a lot. Like you could definitely kill people faster with melees, which I guess is the intention, obviously, because even range weapons have like mobility tools. Like they have a dash. The wheelie doesn't do any damage in general, no matter how much damage you get. But you were able to like roll, kind of like run. That was the best mobility weapon in the game. Was the wheelie, is what it was called. That shoot projectile disc. It just did no damage. It actually, as a weapon, did no damage unless you ulted, but you were the fastest person on the planet. You could actually use it and switch your weapon, and you'd still run really fast, which is insane. So, I do think for some reason, I think it's weird how they're trying to put roles in weapons, like they sword and shield, as well as the spear and the wheelie. For some reason, they're putting these weapons in the game that don't actually do like a whole lot of damage. I think every weapon stands on its own pretty well, except those three. There might be another one I'm missing. There probably is. I can't think off the top of my head, but they should definitely buff those weapons specifically, and other weapons if they are out of tune, to make it so you can always use a weapon. Like I should never be in a scenario where I pick up a weapon and I think this weapon is bad. Now I thought that, for instance, with the fan, I thought the fan was really bad, but I actually learned even at the start of the game, using it right, you have multiple charges, you have a blind. It's actually really good. But you just had to use it right. But for those three weapons, there was nothing I could do to make the damage go higher. Basically, even if I stacked damage, it was just better if I had a different weapon that was maxed out, just to use a different weapon. It wasn't good. I think the system in general, having certain weapons that don't do a lot of damage, is a bad thing, because then you can't ever, like, if you grab those when you're like trying to run to help your teammate, you just don't have anything to fight with. Or if you're in a fortunate situation, you pick up those weapons, it's like, well, they have their purposes, but they're only, some of them are just made for team fights. Some of them are made for running away, which, like I said, they should all be capable of being able to fight with at near the same level. Even if some of them are a little bit stronger, all of them should be viable to do a consistent amount of damage and actually fight with. So I think that's a big thing they need to fix, because, I want to use the spear. I wanted that to be my favorite weapon. There's no great sword, which I usually go with, but then I was like, all right, I'll just use a spear, and it's a support weapon. You can't really make it that good in terms of damage. You can use it, but most of the time you should just be using something else if you're actually trying to deal damage with it. It's just a smarter option. You have one strong damage ability, and then if you're basic attacking, literally every other weapon is just better for basic attacking. It doesn't matter what it is. Usually the spear is like one of the weakest ones of basic attacking. Its ultimate is really strong, and its one dash ability is really strong, but then it has a shield and a heal, so, or like a damage reduction zone and a heal, so it wasn't a good weapon to use. So they definitely need to balance some of those weapons out to make them more aligned with each other. Definitely a big gripe. But the way they upgraded weapons when you pick them up, if you picked up a duplicate, it goes up in rarity. Now, I've seen other games do this. I can't think off the top of my head which ones. I just know I've seen another battle royale that did this. This is a beautiful system. I wish every battle royale did this. If you pick up a duplicate of a weapon, it upgrades in rarity up to purple or whatever the highest rarity is in the game, and then you can pick up legendary weapons if you get lucky from like random crates. So there's still that RNG factor of going to a crate and getting a legendary, but you can't upgrade into that. You can upgrade into a, the second highest rarity, which was like a purple in this case, by getting the duplicates of a weapon. It makes duplicates actually useful. It was super nice, super again, super easy to accomplish. Like, it made me never feel like I'm walking around hoping, praying to God that I'm going to drop some high rarity weapon, because I could always upgrade into it. And sometimes you'd spawn into the game, you'd open one thing, you'd start with like a blue weapon, which was the third highest rarity, and then you'd get a purple, you get one more weapon at white, and you'd put it purple, and you'd be like, okay, well, I started the game basically with a purple weapon, I'm really strong. But on top of that, it wasn't just weapon rarity that determined your power, which again, fantastic system, loved it. Another fantastic system I loved in the game was the upgrade system. So you can go to a vendor. There's two vendors. There's a special merchant, which shows at the beginning of the match that you can spawn into a certain location, and usually he'd be on one of the four corners of the map and walk around. He'd basically just have a path that you could see, but you couldn't see it in game. You can only see it at the start of the game. So you'd look for, you'd see where he's going, look at his path, get enough points to go and spend, which you get points by killing people. You get 100 per kill. Even if you don't kill them, you can just, if you tag them, even if the enemy kills them, you got 100 points. So it's pretty easy to accumulate points. On top of that, you can just get a base, which is a very slow build up, but having multiple bases did give you a good amount of points while you're fighting. You can definitely rack up some points. But you would basically go to either of these merchants. The most common merchant was the vendor. It would have the basic, the basic upgrades you can buy. Each vendor had a specific amount you can buy. Like, I could only buy 2 health percentage packs, so to boost my health, I can only buy 2 of those to max out, and it would make it so my teammate can't buy 2 of those at all. So each vendor had its own capacity, but you could go to a different vendor and get the same upgrade. So there was no cap, I think. You could just max out on health. I think like your base health was like 2,500. I got my health up to like 5,700 or something crazy. It was insane. Those builds are always super fun as well, tank builds. But yeah, you can just buy your upgrades. So this also is a fantastic system because it makes it so you could always choose based on what weapon you get, or even based on what you feel like doing, what builds you want to do. You can do skill cooldown, you can do basic attack, you can do skill attack, you can do health builds, you can do ultimate recharge builds, you can do damage per second builds with a good amount of health. You can mix and match so many different things. Very unique system. I don't know if I've seen a battle royale do that where you can just buy straight up stats, but it was really nice. It was really fun. Like I said, it was a breath of fresh air. Personally, for me, in terms of a battle royale, or most games in general don't do this, so I really did enjoy kind of this like progression system based on your participation. So like, we'd spawn to the match, instantly try to kill some people, then we either decide to go to a special merchant if we pay attention to it, or we'd go to a normal vendor, and just spend our points and buy whatever we needed. On top of that, like I said, there was also crates, which did drop these bonus stats that you can get in sometimes legendary rarities, as well as some other unique perks. Like, sometimes you can get stuff from crates that weren't legendary that you couldn't get at a normal vendor. So there was definitely a lot of different stats, and like the ways they combined them depending on where you were or where you got them from. So I think that was a great system in general. I definitely loved it. Those were definitely some strong key points. Now the characters, they're just characters. There's nothing special about them. You just pick one. I picked the cutest one, June. She was adorable. I just wanted to use her. Like I said, she was really fun. In general, she just looked really great, and I always wanted to be her. She had some really good voice lines. I think they did a good job with the voice lines. Like, some of them were just like, she's like, I just left a donut in the break room, so I better end this quickly so I can go eat it. Like, some fun stuff like that. And some other veiny stuff too. Like, she was just really grim sometimes and dark for some reason, but she was cute. I liked her. So characters are just skins. I do think the art could be improved a little bit. That's definitely a con. Like, Netmarble is a mobile game publisher, so Netmarble isn't really known for their PC games, and they've been recently with 2 different games, HypeSquad and Overprime, making PC games. Now, Overprime looks like a PC game, but HypeSquad does not look like one. It definitely looks like a mobile game. I would love to improve the like the graphics. I think they said they were going to improve the animations and stuff. I'm not sure if it was this game or a different game I'm thinking of, but hopefully the art is also on like the table. Like I would love to see this in like high fidelity, like PS5 worthy, Godfall kind of like aesthetic. That'd be amazing. I doubt that's gonna ever happen, but they're probably gonna keep it light for the people. Maybe they're gonna put it to mobile eventually. I feel like that's definitely where they're gonna be going with this game. Like I said, the game isn't too complex or anything. There is some things that I feel like would be a little hard on mobile, but they've done crazier things. So this game definitely feels like it's going to be ported there eventually. Um, Now the skins in the game were, it's a beta. It's an alpha actually too. Like it's an alpha, demo. So it's nothing is, concrete. There's gonna be more characters. They actually list their names. I think like there was like 5 or 6 characters in the game, and there's gonna be like 5 or 6 more, at least on release, it looks like, hopefully. But the skins were just whatever. I think I had a pretty good skin, but some characters had really good skins like Gideon, the one dude. And then other characters didn't have good skins like Walter or uh, uh, I guess I think her name was Ida, the mechanic looking girl, the girl who kind of looks like Brigida. Wasn't that good. So like I said, it's an alpha. They'll get there. There's nothing I need to like talk about with that. Now the game length was on average, I feel like it was about 10 minutes max. I can't remember the actual time. They're really fast-paced games. The map isn't too big. You can, roam around the map really quickly. Oftentimes I'd see myself at the storm with like a bunch of other people, like 20 other people in the storm on the last, like the final circle, and we just start slaughtering each other. But it's very hard in this game, which I like, to just hide. Like most battle royales, you can literally just like, when I first started playing Fortnite, I could just hide, and then I almost won my first game. I got second place because I was hiding until the very end, and I almost killed the last person. It was so close. This game, you can't really do that. Like you can't just hide and then, benefit, because you need points, you need upgrades, you need to go look for weapons, you need to upgrade your weapons, all this other stuff. So just not fighting and hiding the entire time is very, you could win this way, but it's going to be extremely difficult in comparison because everyone's most likely going to have stats, they're going to have upgrades, they're going to have good things, they're going to, just be loaded up with stuff. And then when you get to that final circle, you're pretty screwed. The map, like I said, it's pretty small. You're bound to run into people, so you can start some fights, get some good upgrades starting early, and then, just kind of like roll from there. But I do like that the game is pretty short. My friend oftentimes would have to just AFK or leave, and a lot of the times it didn't have to be during the match. It would be after, or we just get to the next one. Like it wasn't something that was like, like a 15 or 20 minute, battle royale match. It was, clean 8 to 10 minutes. Oftentimes it'll end before the storm actually closes in, but if it does fully close in, I want to say it was about 10 minutes. It might have been more, might have been a little bit less, but it wasn't too long. Definitely a very good game length. The optimization was pretty good. Oh, pretty smooth. I did have some FPS issues, especially starting out. I think they patched it, or patched some stuff about it, because they did release a couple of patches during the beta, but nothing too, nothing too major. It was still pretty clean, pretty significant. I really never had any lag that I can think of. I might have lagged once or twice. I did run into a hacker one time. I was watched me and other people like insta die, so I don't know how they're handling that. They did publicly post their names on Discord, I think, which again, hilarious. They did the same exact thing for Overprime, which I love, but not too much. There wasn't that many people playing the game, at least on Steam charts. I don't know, it was like 1,000 or something. It wasn't a lot. It's an alpha, whatever, but optimization, like I said, could use some work. And then, just get rid of the cheaters, it's filtering out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Third-party programs, they have all that stuff, hopefully, in the future. Hopefully, we're not going to be overrun by bots or anything. Bots definitely were prevalent as well in the game. You definitely felt like there was a lot of bots, at least for me personally. But you can see people choosing locations, and those people I don't think were bots, because I got into a game where no one chose their location, and then you can tell they were bots. But yeah, there was definitely bots in the game. Some of them are real players. So, hopefully the game, it's just about it being having a stable player base. The match queues were like anywhere from a minute to 3 minutes. Definitely later on during the week, when it first started, it was insta queues. But later on, it was like 2 to 3 minute queues, which did take a while, which was a little upsetting. But like I said, it's an alpha. It's whatever. Marketing. Hopefully it's all, I want this game to succeed. I think overall, it's a good game. I have no problems with it. I have a lot of positives. Sure, I don't think I'm going to be playing this 24/7 or anything crazy, but I'll hop on and have a few matches every now and then. It's a fun, fast-paced game, like literally length and pacing. If you really enjoy just kind of like quick reaction and, or you just like casually having fun, and running in and just pressing a bunch of random buttons, I think it definitely tends to both sides of the field. Don't expect to be a pro or anything just by button mashing, but you know, you definitely could have some fun here versus a lot of other games that are a little bit more complex. And this game does have that, that itch where you could definitely dominate if you know what you're doing. So I think everyone should check this out. I don't really think there's a crowd unless you just hate battle royales, which I'm not even a fan of battle royales, and I enjoy the combat in the game. So I definitely think it's worth checking out. I played it almost every single day for like 2, 3, 4 hours. It's a pretty good game. I think it could definitely kill some time. Um, I don't know. Now, do I think the game will do well? Honestly, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Well, not really, because it's theoretical news. It's not like it's true, but I don't think it's going to succeed. I really don't. I think that the problem with it is that it doesn't innovate on the formula of battle royales. I think if this came out before Fortnite, everyone might be on this game like crazy. But Fortnite's been out, they're doing crazy things. It's not as like insane, I guess, in complexity as like some other games like Fortnite specifically, but it does have a lot of interesting features to the game and like crazy environmental interactions and stuff, which this game does have environmental interactions. Like, you can ride a bus, I guess, and start, you could press like a pad that makes you go up and down. You can shoot ice pads, but I'm talking about with Fortnite, they have crazy events like Ariana Grande or Thanos snapping, and they have vehicles and stuff. They have some crazy stuff, and this game has hoverboards, but come on, like that's whatever. But like, yeah, I just don't think it stands out enough in the scene. Um, and for me personally, I hate to say this, but if a game like Naraka Blade Point is not popular in the West, which again, I'm biased because I love the game so much, but I think if a game like that with such a complex combat system, and again, it appeals to a certain crowd, like a fighting game crowd, more like, or someone who's played For Honor, that's kind of what Naraka appeals to, didn't succeed, then it feels like for this kind of game, it doesn't have enough soul in it, right? It just doesn't feel like it has enough identity to stand out. There's nothing innovative about it, right? I mean, look at Fallout guys, right? Fallout guys still has a popular player base, but it's not as popular as it was, and the game was crazy when it released. Everyone and their mom was playing it. Everyone loved the game, right? There's a new game coming out called Rumbleverse. I don't know how many people are actually like playing it, and actually into it, but there's a bunch of streamers who are paid to play, or they're advertising it, or they're just checking it out, whatever. But this game, I just didn't see any coverage of it that much. It doesn't have a lot of buzz. It's already not looking good. I'm not saying it can't get better, but it doesn't feel like, unless they add something that's just kind of like crazy or something which is more innovative, which again, I don't know. I don't like battle royales. Or maybe they just change the formula in general and make it less of a battle royale and more of something else. Maybe someone, people will enjoy the game. It just doesn't feel like it's going to stand out. Like, I just don't see it personally. I like the game. I think it's fun, but just because I think it's fun doesn't mean everyone else is going to think it's fun, right? I think a bunch of games are fun, and my two favorite games that I thought were really fun both failed and shut down. So yeah, it's like this game. I don't. I'm not in love with it, but I do enjoy it though. But I don't think it's going to succeed, at least in a way where everyone's talking about it and everyone's playing it. Could it have a stable player base? Sure. I feel like it might have like 2,000, 10,000, and I can't get into numbers or specifics here. You'll see on game launch. I don't know, but I'm just keeping it real. I just don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna thrive. I hope I'm wrong, even as it is in its current state. I hope they go crazy with the game. I hope they add so many different elements, right? I hope they add character creation. I hope they add more skills. I hope they add more weapons with unique features. I hope they balance the weapons correctly. I hope they update the graphics. I hope something crazy happens. But until that happens, I'd have to give this a hard pass in terms of it actually succeeding, sadly. If you have the chance to try it out, definitely do it. You might have a lot of fun, but I personally am not going to like stick to this game like glue, um, based on its current state at the very least. I'll play it every now and then. Probably play a lot off stream once it comes out, but probably not whole lot of coverage. Maybe a video every now and then. Just not something I'm going to be playing every 24/7 unless they do something crazy. And I think that's the majority of people. They might play it for a day or two and then just kind of put it down for a while. So yeah, I don't see it going far, sadly. But fingers crossed. Like, hopefully it does. I really do. I do like the game. So yeah, that's about it. Basically, like a little review of Hype Squad. I hope I got all my points across. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will be seeing you guys in the next one. I'm not sure what's queued up next. Probably, I think, a Smite video or something weird. But yeah, I did have a lot of fun these last 7 days. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.